Manchester United receive a huge boost ahead of the Manchester City game, as it looks like Manchester City are missing a lot of key players, and from what we've heard, the injury latest on Cunha and Mount is not bad news. Barcelona to go in for Licha. Lionel Messi apparently pushing Barcelona to go for Lisandro Martinez. A bit of an interesting story that I will probably be taking with a pinch of salt. But there are Spanish sources suggesting Lisandro Martinez is unhappy about Manchester United recent results and talk that Ruben Amorim could even play Lisandro Martinez as a DM this season, which personally I can't see happening. Malacia to Turkey. Malacia needs to find a club, or he'll be at Manchester United this season, probably not playing until January. The Turkish and Saudi windows are still open. It looks like Malacia might have found a move. Onana, updates on Onana, how there's no way back for him at Manchester United, even though he's on loan. The expectation is he will leave permanently. We're going to talk about Lammens, his first training session, and potentially Saudi clubs returning for Bruno. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news roundup today. We've only got 3 more days left of the international break, which is good, because one thing I keep saying to you guys is in the international break, I feel like a lot of nothing stories become half stories, or a lot of nothing this or nothing that becomes a story, because the transfer window is over, there's no football on, there's not much to talk about, and I always feel like we get reports where I'm just kind of like, are they clutching at straws? Do you know what I mean? But if you do enjoy today's video, feel free to hit that like button, and of course subscribe if you're new. So there's actually talk of Manchester City having around 13 players out injured, but the important ones and the big ones for them would be Marmoush, who's got injured in the international break, Cherki, who's out until November time, Foden, who's currently injured, Aït-Nouri's injured but might be back but injured, John Stones, Nico O'Reilly, Rico Lewis, and Guardiola's not ready. So they're quite thin at the back. Obviously they've got Diaz and they've got Rodri that's just come back and Haaland in fine form. So even with all these injuries, Manchester City are such a scary and strong squad. But Manchester United have not won back-to-back games in the Premier League for nearly 18 months. The way I look at it is Ruben Amorim went to the Etihad 1-2-1, and then I think we got a 0-0 draw or something at home to Man City. Ruben Amorim has a good record versus Pep. Marmoush is a huge loss. Cherki's a loss. Foden's a loss. Aït-Nouri, Stones, Rico Lewis, Guardiola's a loss. This is an opportunity to get a result versus City. They're still going to have Rodri and Reinders in the pivot. They're still going to have Ruben Diaz at the back. They're still going to have Erling Haaland up top. Don't get me wrong, Oscar Bob is looking very, very good for Manchester City as well so far this season, but this is our opportunity to hopefully get a result. Now, I want to talk about our injury front, because Matheus Cunha is not expected to be back for the derby, but it's expected to be back soon. Mason Mount was just a precaution, and one player that's on the way back from injury is Lisandro Martinez, expected to be ready by the end of the month, if not October. Now, there is some reports about Lisandro Martinez coming out of Spain. Oh, I'm trying to show the screen here. So this was via the People's Person via One Football. I always check One Football every day to stay up to date on the United news and stuff. And I saw this, Lionel Messi pushing Barcelona to go after Lisandro Martinez. So I just kind of like, well, Lionel Messi's left Barcelona. Why would Barcelona still listen to who Messi wants to sign? They've got people to do their transfer business. So I was taking this with a pinch of salt. But there was a few interesting things that was mentioned in the article. So Lisandro Martinez is already training on grass and is nearing a return from injury. Now, there was suggestions that Amorim could use him as a defensive midfielder this summer due to limited options in the role. Casemiro's legs going, Agati not really setting the world alight. There's a potential that Amorim could try something like Licha at defensive midfield in the midfield pivot. I think Licha will be playing left centre-back, potentially left centre-back that inverts into midfield and forms midfield 3. I personally don't see Licha playing in the pivot. I think Aiden Heaven's more likely to play in the pivot than Lisandro Martinez. If I was going to be honest, I think Delot's more likely to go there. I think Luke Shaw's more likely to go there. But Lisandro Martinez has played DM in the past, but I don't think he would go in the pivot. Apparently, Lisandro Martinez would not be open to playing in the pivot and wants to be a centre-back, and that has fueled some exit rumours over in Spain. Now, I'm going to be honest, Spanish media, particularly Barcelona media, is probably the worst. We talk about how the English media will always use Man United if they want to make up a BS story, because Man United get clicks, and in Spain, the team that gets clicks is Barcelona. So if it's to do with Barcelona and Man United, people know it gets clicks. So we probably have the most BS stuff written about us, Man United and Barcelona. Because there's now reports coming out in Spain that Barcelona are looking to sign Lisandro Martinez potentially, or Messi's pushing Barcelona to sign Lisandro Martinez. Lisandro Martinez is not happy with the project at Manchester United, and Barca obviously want a left-footed defender. Lisandro Martinez could be cheaper than Bastoni, and all of that. But the interesting bit that was said by Spanish media was that Martinez is unhappy with Amorim's project and poor results, raising doubt about his long-term future at United. Now, Lisandro Martinez for me is the exit that I think nobody would see coming. We know Malacia is going to go. We know that, and we always kind of knew that Nana would probably go, or we'll try and get him to go. We'll try and get Højlund to go. But no one's ever really spoken about, could Lisandro Martinez go? I like Lisandro Martinez. I think he's a good leader. I think he's a good player, and I think he's a valuable player, but he's had injury issues. Lisandro Martinez could go if a good bid came in from Barcelona in January. Martinez himself, he seems like a guy that would fight for United, that is happy for United. But if Barcelona come in for him, and look at Barcelona right now compared to we are right now, could his head be turned? I don't know. I don't think Lisandro Martinez is unhappy at United. I don't think Lisandro Martinez is unhappy with Amorim's project. I personally don't believe that part of the report, because Lisandro Martinez doesn't give me that kind of vibe as a player, that he wants to leave Manchester United. I think he really cares about Manchester United and wants to fight for Manchester United. So I don't know if I believe the Spanish report saying he's not happy. But Lisandro Martinez could be a surprise exit. We're talking about all these exits, all these players that could leave, and we haven't once mentioned Martinez, who United might say, well, look, with his injury issues, if this bid comes in, maybe he could go. And look, Barcelona maybe could go for Martinez. So it's one to watch. Now let's talk about a player I expect to leave. So obviously Malacia is weighing up whether to sign for Turkish side. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name, because I'm really bad at pronouncing names, on loan. So Malacia is considering an exit. Right now, he knows with Malacia, as much as I would have liked Malacia to have gone to one of Europe's top 5 leagues and found a permanent move. I think Malacia realises the situation he's in, the injuries he's had. His best bet is Turkey or Saudi on loan for a bit. He just wants to play football. I think why am I saying Lisandro Martinez? I think Malacia will probably go. I think Malacia knows if he stays, he's not going to play. Not that he's a problem causer, and not that it's the end of the world if he stays, but I just don't think he's good enough and he's not going to play. Which is a shame, because in his first season, he did show a lot of promising signs and he got that horrible injury. I think Malacia will go. I think he's just sort of making a decision on his options and whether it's the club that he wants to go to. There's Turkish sides, there's Saudi sides with interest, and I think Malacia will find a move. It will probably be a loan, not a permanent. So it could be one to keep an eye on, and let's see what happens with that. Now, one player that's gone that a few people thought was never going to go, and he's finally gone on loan, is Onana. And just because he's gone on loan doesn't mean he's coming back necessarily. He technically will come back after his loan, because it's not a permanent deal. There's no obligation or option in that deal. But there's expectation is that he's completely done and finished at United. The belief is, sorry. Although it's a straight loan, Onana is effectively ending his United career with this switch. A return after a season in Super League football is highly unlikely. Laurie Whitwell basically said this is believed to be the end of Onana. Even if he goes to Turkey and does really well, it just doesn't look like there's a way back for Onana. It looks like the end. And next summer he'll be in the bomb squad, and we'll be looking for, whether it's a loan, whether it's a permanent, we'll be looking to get rid of Onana for good. He'll be in the bomb squad next year. I think Højlund will probably go to Napoli regardless, because I think Napoli just need to get Champions League football for them to sign Højlund, and I think that will happen. But I think Onana could be in the bomb squad next year, with United looking to move him on. If Lammens really struggles and Onana does well on loan, you never know. But I think Ruben Amorim is very much in the sense of, once he's done with a player, he's done with a player. Look at Rashford, look at Garnacho, for example. And I think this is the same with Rashford. I think Rashford and Onana have gone out on loan, but they're not welcome back at Man United next season, no matter how well they do on loan. Just because it's a loan deal doesn't mean they're welcome back at United, and there's a feeling that they are both sort of done at United. In regards to Lammens, he trained for the first time at Carrington on Monday. There is rumours of him starting in the Manchester derby, but I'm not sure. He's still a young player. He's still raw. He was sort of signed in to challenge for the first-team goalkeeper place, not be the first-team goalkeeper, so I don't know if he'll be thrown in first game of the season. But it'll be one to watch. It'll be Lammens or Bain Deer in goal for the first game of the season versus Man City. And he is training at Carrington, and we'll have to wait and see with that. And then last but not least, there was some suggestions that Bruno could go to Saudi next summer. It's sort of been reported a little bit that he's not going anywhere this summer, but next summer he could go to Saudi. And it was said via Court Offside that Bruno is still a major target for the Saudi Pro League, despite rejecting the move this summer. There was reports that Ronaldo actually tried to personally convince him to join Al Nassr, but failed. And Saudi will look to go back for Bruno next year, and United could be more open to selling Bruno next year in 2026. And a sale would provide United a big financial boost, and Bruno himself could be more open to leaving United in 2026. So there is talk of Bruno to Saudi, one to keep an eye on. Casemiro is expected to go, and Maguire's expected to go at the end of the season. There could be some surprise exits like a Bruno at the end of the season. You never know, like an Agate. There's a lot to do in midfield. It'll be interesting. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.